G'day folks, well this here is the Gigatwist. This is one of the puzzles that was sent to me by 𝙍𝙀𝙄𝙕𝙀𝙀. He designed it many years ago and don't know if it's the only one in existence at the moment. What I do know is that it is for sale in his new shop. So if you're interested in buying one of these things, you can get these. So this is a twisted Gigamix, and you might remember in the unboxing video I did, that's kind of what I called it, a twisted Gigamix, but its actual name is a Gigatwist. And you can see that the white and the yellow faces here are flat. They sit like that. The other faces are not, so they don't sit normally. They're all twisted. Now I have no clue whether there's kind of a clockwise and an anti-clockwise twist going on or whatever. What I do know is how to solve it. Now you might think it's just a Gigamix. Yeah, it kind of is, but it's definitely not the same level of difficulty. This is to another level, and there's a lot of visual stuff that can get you. I remember when I first picked this up a long time ago, it just bamboozled me for a while because I was just kind of like, I know this is a Gigamix, but it's just not working for me. So I'm going to take you through just how I would do it. I'm not going to do the whole solve. I'm going to do the key bits that matter. Well, the first thing really that matters is scrambling it. So the scramble is straightforward. I could talk about the different aspects here of the edges and stuff, but what I'll do is talk about that when it's scrambled, because I found that that's how I had to really think through it, because it arrived, if you remember, it arrived to me in a scrambled state. So I didn't see it like this originally. So scrambling it and generally turning it, initially you've got to get used to the alignment that's required. It's a smallish puzzle, and that's probably the only thing I would change about it is the size of the puzzle. I would make it a little bit bigger. But I guess I understand why it's been made this size. The smaller the size, the less cost, I would presume, not being a designer myself in any sense. Now what's going on here, that's clearly not aligned there. Where do I have to have that? Maybe. Oh, see, this is just already so difficult, even trying to scramble the thing to get your head around. If you have not played with one of these things, I would encourage you, if you're thinking about it, yeah, give it a crack, because it is quite a bit more tricky than it might appear. Well, what I'm going to do is keep scrambling this until I'm happy with the scramble, and we'll come back soon. All right, well, I reckon that's a pretty decent scramble. The object of scrambling, I suppose, is to get every piece where it doesn't belong. Looks relatively good here. And so perhaps there you can see that actually does belong. And I will just talk about that briefly, because I'm going to start with reducing the centers of this. So I'm going to reduce the centers first. I'm then going to reduce the edges, and I'm finally going to solve it as a megaminx. We can see that that piece there, that silver purple, looks like it sits really nice and flat. And that's one of the things we're going to be looking for on these faces, is that we have a nice flush, flat sit. We don't want things sticking out. Now what I'm going to do is, if you remember, the white and the yellow faces were completely flat. There was no twists on them. So I'm going to solve or reduce the white center first, and then I'm going to reduce one of these faces as well to show how it's different on these other faces. And I'll then cut in for the last couple. Now, believe it or not, the last couple, when you're down to say the yellow and the green, maybe, it's much easier and quicker because all the pieces are just sitting on these two faces. At the moment, I've got to go searching anywhere for these pieces, so it does take a little bit more time. So, as I said, the white face is flat. The first thing I want to do is go find a white wing. I'm going to call these center wings and center tips, for want of a better word. So there's a white center wing. And I don't need to worry about whether it's the correct orientation for the center because it's flat. So initially, what I might try and do is just rotate that around so that, and again, initially it'll take a little bit of aligning to get these things. That's the first thing I want, one wing sitting there. Now what I want to do is form a tip and a wing double and place that either here or here. So I'll do that somewhere else, and it just requires, there's a wing. I've got to find a tip somewhere and attach it. There's one right here, so I can do that. And that happens to be exactly where I need it, which I'm certainly going to take at this stage. So I'll just move that down into position. Now I've got wing, tip, wing. I want to continue, tip, wing. So let's find another wing and a tip somewhere. There's a wing hiding there. So is there a tip? There is a tip up this way. And that tip also seems to be at the top. There's the top, there's the bottom in terms of where it lives. If I turn this orange face like that, the tip is now at the bottom. So what I'm really trying to do is just see, where do I need that to be? Well, this wing is at the top of the face, so I need the tip to be at the top of the face. Now, is that going to turn, or have I misaligned that? No, that's all right. So bring that tip down, attach it, and now what I want to do is attach it either to here or to here, depending on which one that is. I'll notice that that's a tip at the bottom if I turn it up like that. So if I was to rotate that white face like that, now I've got a tip at the bottom. So that tells me that's what I want. Turn it up into position. So wing, double, double. I've got another double that I need to do now. There's a wing. I'll just search for a tip somewhere. Oh, there's one. And that is at the top of the face. So again, I can make that move to there and it'll attach. Let us firstly rotate like this. So we'll see. Now, if I turn it, notice that the tip is at the top of the face. If I just turn it down into position, it does not attach right next to these things. So it's either got to attach here or it's got to attach here. So what I'd need to do there is rotate this white face so that when I turn it down, the tip, which is at the top, attaches right next to it. Like so. Right, so you can see how this is being built up. Now that just leaves us a triple of a wing with two tips either side. So that's all that's left. I've got to locate firstly the wing. Again, takes a little bit more time now because it could be anywhere. It's probably right in front of my face. Where is it? I'm going to have to get methodical here in a minute. Is that it? I think that's it. I'm going to do what I would normally do for all the other faces now because I want to demonstrate the general technique. I would place that wing up on the yellow face. So it's right out of the way of what I'm trying to build. I'd go and find a tip from somewhere. There is one. Now, that's on the upper portion. So if I just rotate the wing around, and I can put that tip up. Now, at this point, it hasn't disturbed anything, but if I needed to, I would then just rotate the yellow face to move that off. That looks like the other tip. So how can I get to the yellow face? I can position it there. Let's firstly turn this light blue face. All right, what's blocking that? Nothing now, apparently. Let's just start with it at the top and we'll see if that's where it needs to be. Notice that if I place it there, it's just going to displace this one. So I clearly need to have it go into that position, which is at the bottom. So when I come down here, I just first need to rotate the light blue face so that this tip is at the bottom. Then I can turn it up to join, make that triplet. Okay, now the only thing left to do is to place the triplet. So if I think about, can I get from the bottom to the top directly? I'm not sure that I can. I don't think I can. So what I would do here is just, for this one, rotate it around like this. And that's got to go there. So I rotate this blue face. So it's in position. Again, harder to align when it's like this because you can't always see what is actually blocking it. There we go. All right, now that has reduced the first face. Fairly straightforward because there's nothing to worry about with twists and orientation. But I want to use that exact same technique to do another face. So I might do the red face here in the same way. Now to do that, you remember that I started with a center wing, any center wing here. I don't want to start with any center wing. What I want to start with, if I consider each of these faces, it kind of has a high side and a low side. If I look over here, there's a high side and a low side. And you may remember I initially focused on that piece right there, that silver purple piece. Notice how that silver purple is actually a center wing for the silver face, but it has a purple side to it. That is the piece I'm interested in. So I want the analogous piece for the red face. I'm looking for a red center wing which contains another color. So first step is to locate that piece. There it is. Red, it's a red center wing. It's in the center wing position and it contains a little bit of silver on it as well. Now that piece, when I get it over towards where it belongs, so I can move it over sort of around to this direction, rotate on the pink face. Okay, now the question is, which of these does it go on? Well, if I try to just turn it up like that, you can see that's massively sticking above the center. That's clearly not the place that it needs to go. It's obviously going to be on one of these higher sides. So I would do that, and well, that's still sticking up. So as it happens, my understanding here is that it sits on the highest side of the center. So when I turn that on now, that is nice and flat. You can use your finger to sort of run it along there if you want to check. There's no gaps, nothing's sticking up. So that is the correct position for that red silver center wing. Now, once that's done, I now need to do what I did on the white center, is to make a double that goes next to it. And the specific double that I want to make, there is a tip here, which is also silver and red, joined to a wing here, which is red. So I'm going to look firstly for the silver red tip and just get that located. I don't think that's it. I think it's just a normal one. It's hard to tell in the light sometimes. Let's see if we can just, find that one first. I'll just keep my thumb on it somewhere so I don't lose it. That's not that one, I don't think. Oh, is that it? That is it. And the funny thing about it is it belongs on the red face, but it's mostly silver, if you can see that. Now, if that's going to go, better keep my finger on it, otherwise I'll lose it. I've lost it. Oh, I'll find it again. If that is going to go next to here, you'll notice that it's on the high side, definitely on the high side. So what I'm looking for is a wing that is also a high wing, if you like. That's how I know the type that I want. So probably not that one sitting in there. Possibly this one. So I'm going to put this one up to the yellow face. Turn it off, and in case I've done anything, I return it. And as it happens, you'll notice that by turning that up, this first wing that I put there had been displaced. So that's why from now on, pretty much turn it up to the yellow face, turn it off, and return to keep everything there. So there's what I think is the correct wing. Now I've got to go and relocate that red silver tip, and of course it's mostly silver. That's the tricky thing. Right, where did it go? Oh, there it is right there. Okay, so let's turn that around so I can get it up to the yellow face initially. And I can see that that's on the upper position or the top part of the face. So if I just rotate that up, does that go and match with that? Just looking, using the finger test, using the eye test, that looks as though it is matching. And I'm going to take that for now. I don't think I've displaced anything there. So the thing is, that's got to go into that position. So for now, I'm just going to rotate the red face around so that it can come from this yellow face. Now once again, this is in the upper position. So I'm looking here, yes, that tip is in the upper position. At this point, I can just turn that down. It won't dislodge anything I've already made. Lovely jubbly. You can see that that tip there has gone right next to the center. It's clearly okay here. So I'm working my way around from the high side to the low side. Now you'll notice that in the other one, I kind of went, well, I'll do this, then I'll do this, then I'll do this, and work my way just around the thing. This time what I want to do is get this one here, purely because it's also on the high side. So I'm looking for another high tip and a high-ish center wing. But they're all red, there's no silver on. That's the only silver on this center. So let's go find a high red one. That's not it, because you'll notice there's a little bit of blue there. So that actually belongs on the blue face. So just a high red wing and tip. Okay, do they exist? Gonna have to get methodical. I mean, it's not that one, that's on the low side of that face, I think. Actually, what am I talking about? Because that is a flat one. I still don't think it's that red wing. I don't think it's that one. There's only 3 left, so if it's not those two, where's the third or the fifth one? Now there's one there, so it might actually be, let's just try them because you never know. Let's initially just get this one up. And sometimes what I do when I'm not really sure, I just move all 3 of them up to the yellow face. That's on the yellow face. Got that one on the yellow face. There was a third one that I saw as well, which is that one there. So can I'll just rotate that green face. Just turn this up as well. So the last 3, looking at that, I would say this is the one I'm interested in. You can see that's a little bit higher than the others. So the white face is still intact. I'm now trying to fill this one, which means now all my wings are on the yellow face. I've just got to locate that red tip, which I think is the high one. It might be that one there. So let's assume that it is this one. And let's go and try and place it next to the wing that I think it belongs next to. There we go. Initially, I won't worry about what I'm disturbing. I just want to see if it actually goes. If that will, there we go. Yeah, hopefully you can see that looks fantastic to me. So I reckon that's the go. Looking at that, I've not disturbed anything. So now it's on the yellow face. I need to place it in that position. So I'm going to rotate this red face like so. So that position can come from the yellow face. Let's turn the yellow face so that it's ready. Well, that is now ready to rotate straight down there. Once again, it happens to not be touching this. So all I need to do is rotate it or move it down, hope that it works, and it does. This is looking really nice. Now at this point, I've got a double and a triple, and I've done all the high ones. So I'm not that concerned about trying to get a specific piece. What I care about now is just getting the other wings up here, finding the tips and trying to match a tip with a wing. So, okay, there's a tip there. So we rotate that around into a position where it can be turned next to a wing. If I do that, there's a wing there. So let's just firstly try this tip on that wing. You might be able to see that that's sitting above the wing. So it's definitely not good for that particular wing. Let's turn it down and try it next to this one. It looks pretty good. It seems flat. I'm going to say that this is a good one, and I'm going to now try and place it either here or here. Now, if it doesn't place, it doesn't mean it's the wrong one. It may just mean it's part of the final triple. So let's firstly rotate around to there so it can come to the red face. Now, the tip is at the top, so if it's going to go here, that's all aligned properly. Okay, you can see that it's come down next to that, and that has slotted in perfectly. So I now just need the last triple. The wing is still there. I've got a tip on the same face, so what I would do here is just initially turn that off, rotate it on this face, and see if this tip belongs in this position, and it does. That's good. So just the final tip, when I find it, will make that triplet. Okay, do I have to get methodical? Or is it somewhere really, really obvious? It's not on the yellow face. I'm just going looking around here for now. No, I can't see it on any of those. So it should be on one of these lower faces somewhere. It's not on that red face. Okay, it's vanished. This happens sometimes. Pieces just vanish in front of my eyes. Where is it? What have I missed? It's clearly hiding somewhere, and sometimes these pieces do sort of, oh no, I thought that was it, but that's the one they've already put there. Yeah, sometimes these pieces do have a knack for sort of being hidden under some other pieces. Like that one there, you can hardly even see that. Is that it? Ah, that's it, right, look at that. That's almost invisible, that little red tip between the orange and the light blue piece. You can almost hardly see it. Well, that is the one. That's why I couldn't find it. And in fact, it is simply one turn away. Well, that's slightly frustrating that that was so simple. If I just keep turning that, you can see, yep, that goes really nicely there. So now that that triplet has been made, it's a matter of placing it. If I was to turn, perhaps like, how do I need to do this? Might need to do it in that fashion. Yep, that's going up to the top. Now, once you've got this ready to place, there's no question of whether it is going to place properly or not. It will. It can't not. So I can just turn that down into position, and you can see none of that's been disturbed, and we now have one of these twisted centers reduced. So that's the technique that I would use. The same as this, but I do a specific set of pieces in a specific order. That one, then those two, and then the rest of it. Now, the next, how many? 9 faces, maybe 9 centers, are precisely the same as what I've just done here. As you go further along, you just need to be a little bit more careful that if you're placing something, you don't disrupt what you've done. So sometimes you might be placing something from here to here, you're going to knock that out. So you'd need to place it, turn the face to rotate it off, and then undo that to bring this back, that sort of thing. What I'm going to do is continue working through all this and come back with the last 2 centers to do, whatever they are, yellow and something else, and just take you through how I would complete those centers. All right, well, here we are back, and I've got 2 centers to reduce. All the others you can see are completely reduced. It's just the pink and the yellow here which need to be done. Now, I completely ignore the yellow center. That's just going to be reduced automatically at the end. It's the pink that I'm interested in. Now, I said that this was quicker because all the pieces are just here. They're nowhere else. That's why it's quicker. You just see exactly what you want and place it. So the first thing, I've got this pink gold wing there. So I would initially just turn it and say, does that go there? Yes, it does. Good. So I'll place it there and turn the pink face in order to return everything that I've already done, such as all these faces down here. And that's going to be the same pretty much all the time. Turn, rotate, return. Now, the next thing that I wanted to do was the tip, which had two colors, which is actually that one there with the gold on it. And I've got to place that. That's going to go over in this position, and I need to place it with a pink raised wing, which could be that one there. I reckon it's that one. That looks bigger. Raised it. And so I'm going to just turn that face and see if it attaches nicely, which it certainly appears to. So that's been made. Okay, now it's supposed to go here. So what I could do is bring the position up to the yellow face, turn it onto its position, and then bring it back down. Lovely. So that's been done, that double. Now the double on the other side. And you can see pretty clearly that is the exact corner, or sorry, the tip that I need. Just need to find the correct wing, and I'd say it's that one. So the first thing I would do would be to get the wing up the top. Too far. Okay, so I can bring that wing up to the top and just rotate it, put something else here. Now, the corner or the tip that I want is there. Now, at the moment, the first option is that it could go on this side. I think it's got to go that side, but we could check by turning it up there. And we see, no, that's definitely the wrong position. So the next thing to do is to rotate this face so it's at the top. Now, the problem is, even though it's at the top, this is where it belongs, and I can't really get that where I need to get it at the moment. So what I'm going to do is put that up there, and then probably initially I'll just turn this wing back to here. Now just keeping an eye on which, yeah, it's got to be that one. You know what? I would not do that. I would keep the wing there, and I would turn so just something else goes in this position. Like so for now. Now, the corner that I've got here, I reckon if I was to turn this around, that corner belongs there. So it's got to come from this position. So I want that corner at the top here. So the first thing I would do would be to place it in that top position. Now rotate this pink face just to get an appropriate place where I can store this tip. So I'm going to store the tip down here, rotate that and return. Now when I turn this pink face back, that tip is stored there and it's on its own. It's not connected to anything else, which is really what I was going for here. Now I can turn to place the wing in position, bring the tip next to the wing, and then rotate the yellow face to store it, and then place something else there. Okay, now you might notice as I'm doing this, these yellow things are just kind of lining up, and eventually that's what's going to happen for the whole thing. Now, where does that need to go? Well, it looks like it needs to go here. So if I rotate that so that it can place here and here, a couple of ways I could do this, but what I'll do is bring it down into position just to check, to confirm for sure that it goes there, which it does. Rotate this pink face and place that back there. Right, so you can see the procedure is precisely the same. It's just these two faces. So I started with that, I've done that one there, I've done that one there. I've now got to get probably this piece, or a piece that belongs with that wing, and that wing looks like it belongs there. So again, initially what I'll do is place the wing up to the yellow face. And just turn it off and see what I've got. Okay, now I've got the wing there, and I've got 1, 2, 3 possible pieces that go with it. So first thing that I might do is I'd like each of these probably down here initially. So I can turn them down, rotate this pink face because I've still got sort of this region that I haven't touched yet. Now, in doing that, I might have even placed this here, but in looking at that, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little bit of a raised section there, so I don't think that goes. Now, let's have a look. This is the other possible one that might go there, so we'll check that. No, it doesn't seem to go there. This one doesn't, so I'm guessing it might be this one over here. So to get that one down to here, what I'll do is put the position up. Now, I can't just turn this around once because it'll bring the wing down. So I want to turn it around twice, so just that tip appears down there. Now, just keep in mind, this, just looking at this, that may even be a correctly placed double there. It's difficult to see because of that sticking up bit. I might try and turn that off. Nice if there was something there that wasn't super high. I reckon that might even be it. So if that is the correct one, it probably goes here. So one thing I could do to test that is to rotate this around into that position and then replace it with something here. Let's try this. So rotating to there, which is where I think it goes, replacing with this, undo, undo, and we'll see. Ah, no, so it is definitely, those two go together, but they don't go here. So I'm now thinking, is it possible that there's something up the top here which does go there? That is a double, those two there. This tip does not seem to match. So I'm going to say, what about this double? Does that go there? Let's try it. Yes, it does. No problem. So let's turn that into its position. Rotate to get the last, or just to return everything. Now, you can have a few different scenarios here, I guess, but just looking at this, it's actually not really what I want to have one on its own. So I would say I can either treat this as belonging to this part or as belonging to this part. I'm going to treat it as belonging to this part. So initially, what I'm wanting to do here is actually to have those two up here and this piece down there. So what I can do to achieve that is to rotate this down into position. Like so. Now that has just really not done what I want, so let me undo that. It sounded good in my head. I think instead of that, what I'll do is, yeah, I can see why that's not going to work now. Okay, so I'm going to just put this one over here for now, and I shall bring these two up to this face and just replace it with a piece of yellow, like so. Okay, next thing, I want to clearly place that tip there. So I need to get that tip here so that I can move it up to there. So because these are separated, if I was to turn the position up and then turn the tip onto that position, this is not touched. That's what I want. I can bring that down there. Now I return the double to here. I'm going to place this tip onto that to make the final triple. Now you notice this has come out, so what I need to do initially is just turn that into place, return everything, all of this gets returned, and that pink face has been made. And also the yellow face has been made as well. So doing that last little bit, it's not that there's no rhyme or reason to it, it's just there's a few different scenarios and you just need to think your way through what you need to attach where, what position things have got to be in, and normally separating the last tip and the other double works pretty well, as we've seen. So that's the centres reduced. So all these centres now behave like a single centre on a megaminx. Now the next stage is to reduce the edges, and there are 3 types of edges to reduce. They are all done the same way. I'm going to show one example of each. The way you can get your head around the types of centre or types of edges to reduce is looking at the piece in the central position. So there's 1, 2, 3 pieces here. I want them to be part of a complete reduced edge. And if you look at this first one, the white blue in the middle, that looks different to this gold blue. It's a different type of piece. And it looks different again to this blue here. Or let's find a better example of that. The one that can be seen better, the red. So those are the 3 different types of pieces. They all belong in different positions. So they're going to create different looking edges, but the procedure is exactly the same. I'm going to start with probably the easiest one to do, which is these ones here, because all of these have one colour. So there is just a red piece here and a red piece here. So how do we do this? Well, locate a central piece like this red one here, and then we're going to go and find 2 other red pieces which are going to sit next to it. And again, starting off, normally this takes the most time because you're looking everywhere for it. Now I think that may be one of them. So let's just go and see. What I'll do initially is turn, what I'm trying to do here is turn it on the outer faces only so that it lines up and goes either here or here. But if I was to turn that up, does that match? You can see it's the right sort of piece, but it sort of looks flipped. So either I can flip this one or I can flip this one around. It doesn't really matter. If I'm going to flip this around, I would probably, it's going to flip around and go over to this position and come up here. So what I will do is now turn that position down to there, rotate this red piece onto the position and bring it back up. And you can see that has sort of flipped the piece and it's now on this line. So when I turn it up to match here, now it goes perfectly. I'll just try and turn this outer face so you can see it clearer. That sits really nice and flush with this one. That's the sort of thing I'm aiming for. Now I don't just do this yet because I want to get the other one and do the same thing on the other side. So I'll bring that back so the centers are all where they should be. That's ready. Where's the other one? The other one, of course, I want it to be somewhere on this line here when I find it. That there, I'm pretty sure. So if I was to rotate this face, that is now on the line. The question is it oriented properly? I think it's going to have to be, and I can turn that on. You can see, yep, that is beautiful. That is ready to go. So we've got the 2 pieces lined up, one on each of the, I don't know what you call these, orbits or paths or whatever. And I'm going to move them together now so that I've formed my triplet. So that is now a reduced edge triplet. Problem is that my centers are mucked up, so I need to store this. So all I do to store it is bring it out onto an adjoining face and replace it with something else. So if I turn this out, just make sure this is lined up, which is not at the moment. That looks better. If I turn this reduced edge triplet out onto the aqua face here, just fix the alignment somewhere, maybe there. Yeah, there we go. Out onto that face, I'll replace it with this one. So I'll just move that up into its position and return it. Come on. Got there. Okay, so you can see that has been stored. Now I just put the centers back to where they were. So I return this center. 2 turns there. So every time, all the centers that we just spent a lot of time doing are returned, and I've got, wherever it's gone, I've got a reduced edge triplet. That's what I'm doing for all of them. And So unless I've got these numbers wrong, there are 30 of these things. There's 10 of each kind. I'm pretty sure that's right. So there's 10 of these sort of one colour only kind. I would do all 10 of them. Then I'd move on to the next set. The next set are these sort of ones where it's a fairly symmetrical central piece. So if I look at this red aqua, I want to do the same thing. I want to find two other pieces which have two colours. One here, one here. Let's find them. Red aqua. That looks like one of them. So I would bring, I note that I've got aqua on top. So I need to have it so that the aqua colour is on top. So if I can just put it onto that face and then turn it around on this face, can I get it to that position? Sort of looks good, except that, or actually, no, because it belongs in the other position there. It belongs in this one here. So the aqua's on top. I'll just need to rotate that around to there so it can move down on that line. So to rotate it to there, I want to move it into here and then replace this with, say, that one there. So I would move that into its position, just using outer face turns here. And undo. And undo. There we go. Now that is ready to match up there. So that's the first of them. The second one, right here. This one, I want to try and get to that position again with the aqua on top. Now you can see if I turn this face around, the aqua will be on the bottom. So that tells me I probably should do something like this. Move it around to here initially. Okay, and I've got the same scenario that I had with this one where I've got to just rotate that around to there. So turn it around into position, replace it. Undo. And undo, which will put it exactly there. So they are now ready, lined up. I'll bring them together. There's another reduced triplet. Same thing. I want to turn this out to a side face. Doesn't have to be the right face, could be the left face, doesn't matter. And doesn't have to be here. I could replace it with any piece. So perhaps I'll replace it with this one here, as long as it is not already done. That's the key thing. And of course that's been done. I don't need to return this outer face now. I just need to return the centers. So once again, centers done, and I have another reduced edge triplet. So 10 of these, 10 of them. Then we move on to the last type. Same technique, different type. And let's have a look for one. Here's a yellow-green. Okay, now these ones will always be yellow and something, or white and something. You can see white and the light blue there. The tricky thing about these ones is that one of the pieces, if I've got the yellow or white on the top here, the piece on the right will also be the same color. So yellow-green. So let's look for that one first. There is a yellow-green here. You'll notice this yellow-green has orange on it. I'll come to that in a minute. I want to find another yellow-green that just has yellow and green. Where's it gone? That one, that one, that one, that one. Okay, so let's bring, that one's got to sort of be in this line here. So perhaps, and the yellow's on top, I'll turn it like that. Turn that around to there. I think that is now on the correct line. And we bring it up, we can see, yeah, that seems to fit pretty nicely. So that's good, that's in place. Now the other one we saw was this, where was it? It was this one here, yellow, green, orange. And this is what really gave me some issues initially, is that I went, well, that's the other one. So I'm gonna pretend that that is the other one, because as you might have guessed, it's not. And I'm going to turn it around to this line like we've done previously. So just turn it into that position, replace it. undo, undo. All right, that's now ready to bring up. And you would bring it up and you would think, ah, cool, that is ready, yellow, green. The problem is, and this is what hit me initially, I'm going, what is that piece of orange doing there? Doesn't make any sense. Surely that would go next to an orange piece here. And as it happens, that is exactly right. So when I'm looking for the piece on the left here, what I need to do is think about yellow, green. So that reduced yellow, green part's going to go here. This piece is going to be mainly yellow, that color, with a hint of green. So I'm really looking for a yellow aqua piece that looks like this piece. So I want yellow aqua with a little bit of green sitting there. Now I think that is the one I'm looking for, yellow aqua with a little bit of green. So let's now put that into this position. Okay, so that's where I need it. That's my piece. How can I get this around? So the yellow's on top. And that might do it. Good, bring it up like that. That's now in the correct line. So now, when I bring those three pieces together, the other one was over here, it looks like it should. We've got yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, tiny bit of green with that color that is on the left. That is a correct edge triplet. That's the one that I now want to take out to a side face and replace with something else. Again, I don't need to do this last turn, so I won't bother. Let's just put the centers back. We'll try this one first. That's done. This one here. And you can see that is exactly what should happen. Now, just to make the point here, I'm going to just place it into the position that it belongs in. You can see the reason that that piece is a yellow aqua with a hint of green is because of the cut of this part here. Remember, we were getting we started when we were doing the centers with this piece here, which was green aqua, and then we had a green aqua tip where most of it was aqua. So you can see the line running up there, less and less green. That's why this is the way to reduce those last type of pieces. So exactly the same technique for all 30 of them, just some are easier, some are harder. That's what we've got to do. I'm going to continue doing that. We'll cut back in when I'm near the end. Okay, well here I am down to the last, what I think is the last two edges to be reduced. That one clearly needs to be reduced, and in fact so does that one. Now, I've had a quick look around the puzzle and I reckon all the rest are done. But I'm not going to 100% say they are yet, because I've had situations in the past where even during the placement of the reduced edges, I've discovered, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't belong there. So let me see if we can think about what's going to happen here. For example, I've got no third piece here. So ordinarily I might move this yellow pink down to this one here just to make a double and take that out, replace it with some other piece, but I don't have that. So all that I can really do now is a flip. So I'm going to think, what would happen if I flipped this? Well, if I flipped this piece, then I'd have pink, yellow, and this purple, white would go over here. What would come back? Pink, yellow. So I would in fact create a triple, a correct reduced edge there. But notice that when I did that, the purple, white flips over, it comes back like this. And that would be grey, white, grey, purple, white. Now that's the same three pieces that belong together. However, something's not right there. And I can't really get that configuration, because when I've only got these two pieces left, if I solve one of them, the other one's got to be solved as well. So at this point, it tells me something is definitely not quite right, and possibly there is a third piece somewhere that has escaped my attention. So what I would then do is look around really methodically and say, just check absolutely everything. For example, that's yellow green, it should have yellow aqua, and you can see the little green strip there. So that's correct. That's fine. All those are fine. Let's have a look at this one. Yellow orange with a little orange strip there, and yellow green next to it. Yes, that's correct. Let's keep moving. Yellow. Now that looks wrong to me. Yellow pink, that shouldn't be in fact, that's a yellow aqua with a little pink strip there. That little strip should be a yellow aqua. And what should that main color be? Yellow pink. Ah. So in fact, it looks to me like that piece should be there, and that piece should be on one of these. Okay, so I've now determined that in fact I don't have 2 left, I've got 3 left. So what I'll do first is create this piece here. I'll create this reduced edge triplet. And if it's going to be a yellow aqua, then it must be the yellow pink to go on the left. I'm pretty sure that yellow pink is that one there, although I can't see the aqua, so the sticker may just have fallen off there. Let's just see if we can get things into position so that I can, so I'm going to flip this around here so that it's on the correct line. That's the first thing. And I'll just see if that's the right type of piece that goes up there. Yeah, it certainly is. And I think, as I said, that little aqua sticker, I mean, it's so tiny, I'm not surprised. That has come off, but that would then be a correct edge triplet. So I've got that piece and that piece. Where's my third one that was also not done? Over here. Good, that's on the side, and so I can now do this as normal. I can replace this one with that one there. Okay, and return centers. Now that's the one I just made. That will leave this one here and this one here. Now what you might notice now is these 2 pieces, one of them has 2 pieces together that are correct, and the other has 2 pieces together that are misoriented. So that white grey actually should be over here. Or in fact it should, yes, because when you look at it like that, it should be flipped over here so the white is there on the right hand side. That's actually the configuration that we need, and that tells me, okay, all the rest should be totally fine. It's just now down to these 2. So in order to get this correct, what I need to do is look for the third piece of that triplet. So the one that looks dodgy. See, this one looks good, this one looks dodgy. I want the third piece of the dodgy one, which happens to be this white purple. How do I know it's white purple? Well, white grey, white grey, white purple. So that's what's told me, okay, this is the third piece of this triplet. I want that around here in a position ready to come up. So I'll turn it round, replace it with something, undo, undo. So all that's doing is getting this on the correct line. What I'm going to do is push out this white grey. Now, if we think about what's going to happen here, you'll see there's a little slither of grey. That sticker there is a little grey sticker. So pushing that out, I'm then going to flip this. What happens? Well, firstly, instead of the white on the bottom, the white's on the top. So it'd be white, blah, blah, blah. When I bring this back, that's white on the top. That's what I want. What else happens? Well, this yellow gold flips around, so the yellow's on the bottom and I've got sort of pink on the top. When I bring it back, yellow on the bottom, pink on the top. And that's how I know this is exactly what is needed to be done. So push out the dodgy looking one with the third piece, and now flip this triplet. How do we flip a triplet? Well, all we do is move it out onto an adjoining face with an edge piece series. So, and then replace it. So move its position up to there, move this along, position up, just having everything aligned here. Put it onto its position and then undo. Undo. Technically that last one's not needed, but I'll do it anyway. And now that that's done, I can return the centers. When I do that, you'll see there's my final white grey or white silver triplet with the little white silver snippet there. And up here, or in fact, where was it? Where's it gone? Down here, there's my yellow pink with that yellow gold on the side. So that is what's probably going to happen for the last two. And in fact, for me, it was the last three. The only other thing that could really happen is that the last two were automatically solved, but I've never had that happen. I doubt it's going to happen. I guess it's technically possible, but probably not likely. So that finishes the reduction, I'm pretty sure, of the triplets. Now what that means is that we are now in a position to solve this thing as a reduced megaminx. And being a megaminx, I'm treating each of these reduced centers as a single center and each of the reduced edges as a single edge. So when solving a megaminx, there's two ways at least that I know how to do it. The first way is to build up from the bottom. So I would just pick a center and build up the edges and the corners around that first center, and then I'd start building up and building upwards, going up the puzzle until I got to the top layer and just finished all that off. And I'd be doing edges and corners at the same time. I'm not going to do that method here because there's a little bit more thought. It's far more interesting, but there's a little bit more thought required. And this is interesting enough with the twisted nature of it. So I'm going to solve this just as an edges first. I'm not going to do the whole solve. I'm just going to explain how I would do it, go through some of it, and then, yeah, come back in right at the end with the last few corners. But to begin with here, I know that I'm going to start with my white center. I'm going to say that's my first center, and I'm going to try and get the edges done around this center. Now the white center doesn't really have orientation, but all the ones below it certainly do. So what I want to do initially is just pick one center. In fact, what I'll do is find a white edge that belongs with the center. So for example, this here, this white light blue, belongs right there. Initially, I can just turn that up to the white center, and I could try putting it there. And you can see, wait a minute, it doesn't even look right at all. Well, part of the reason for that is because if I look at this blue center has orientation. So I need to orient it first. And to orient the light blue center, I look at the other color, which is the dark blue. It's got to be pointing over there. So that means it's got to be turned like so that the dark blue is pointing that direction. Now when I bring the white back, suddenly, oh, look at that. That fits perfectly and looks as it should. So I just need to do this every time for the center. So I'll find another one, which is white silver, that's over here. So the first thing I need to do is kind of align the center, but you'll notice it looks really good on that. So I'm going to assume if I turn that up, that will automatically align itself, and it does. What have I got here? White blue. So I would move this around to the vicinity of white blue, and I could do the same sort of thing that I did before. I could say, well, that is going to be the correct orientation of this thing. I need the white blue to be there. So if I was to turn that around, say to here, and then rotate the white blue onto its position and then return it, that will also automatically align this center, this face. So what have I got now? White red and white purple that I've got to find. Well, here's the white red. Well, the white red is already oriented, so I could happily turn this around to here, or in fact turn this around to, no, I don't like it because I don't want to involve this one. So instead I will just bring this white red out around to where it's sort of where it belongs, perhaps like here. And the center is aligned. So once again, what I could do would be to move the position that it belongs down. Put the piece on and return it. That will ensure that that is correctly aligned. So almost everything should be aligned properly now, just this one, which is the last one I've got to do. So again, I'll just align this face first, down to there, and locate the white purple. It shouldn't be that hard. Where is it? There. Okay. I'll bring that down. Perhaps around to here. And yeah, once again, this time I can just bring it down one spot, put it on, and return it. So what I've done now is not only place, in fact, where'd the other one go? That's just there. I've not only placed all of the white edges, but I've done it so that all these sort of upper equator faces and centers are correctly aligned. Now that that's been done, I can sort of turn this over and start placing these ones here. Well, these ones are a different kind of edge. So this was the first type of edge here, which was the hardest ones we had to build. These ones, if you look at the colors here, there's three pieces, 1, 2, 3. Well, that's clearly going to be silver because of that sticky color. That's clearly going to be silver. That, who knows, but if I'm thinking about an edge type which has two pieces of the same color, the third piece also has the same color. So it's one of these types that's got to go there. So what I would then do is just sort of look for one of the things that I want, maybe move it up to the yellow face, just to get it to where, so I can move it around to where I need it, bring it down into that position. And the only thing really to do here is to check the orientation. And I notice that at the bottom it appears to be a shorter piece, if I've got that right. For example, if I try and turn that down, it just doesn't look right. So I would say, let's move it up, put it on. That does look pretty good there, and move it down into position. You can see, yeah, that fits nicely and everything is still aligned where it should be. Here's the red one. This one looks like it has the longer one at the top, which means I can't just move that straight down. Once again, I'm going to have to bring it up, turn that piece on, and undo. In fact, I don't need to undo that one, but that's good. This one is the blue, which is sitting just here. Again, the upper piece is at the top, so I'm probably going to have to turn that. Just get it aligned. Yep, turn it on. Bring it back down. So that's good so far. 3 of them are done. Might as well keep working around here. That's the light blue, which is sitting over here. So I can bring that around. You'll notice I'm only really turning outer faces now because that's what's required to keep all the stuff that we've done. What's going on here? Okay. All right, this time I should be able to turn this down, down, up, up to place it directly into position. Now let's see, have I mucked the alignment up of anything? I don't think so. So I think we're good at the moment. This last one being a purple, which is sitting over here. And that should do down, down, up, up. All right, so that now is all of these ones done. You can see that in a sense I'm working upwards, but I'm just doing the edges. I'm not concerned with any of these corners. So the next stage, and so we've seen one type of edge first, we've seen the second type of edge next. Now we're going to look at the third type of edge that we had. And that third type of edge was this type here, with 3 very clear 2-color pieces like that, all the same. And so what I'm looking for is, generally what I would do would be to just start with one of these and work my way around. So as an example, let's see, I've got the gold blue up the top here. So I'm looking for that to go in that position. And so I'll just look at the sort of orientation of that. I can move that up, put the gold onto it. Now, before I do this, what have I forgotten? I have forgotten to align these faces. These ones I did align already. Now I need to align these as well. And you can see that orange needs to be pointing to the orange there first. So as I go, I'm just going to do that for each one. So now when I do it, I bring this position up, and this time when I put it on, it should look correct. Didn't really look correct before, did it? Okay, so that's in. I might work my way around to here and say the next one that I need is the pink blue. Have I oriented that face? No, I have not. So let's do that. I would then locate that pink blue, which happens to be on the top here. Now it's on the left. I'm sort of looking at the left and the right. So it's on the left, so I'll bring it from the left. And this one can go up to the top, turn on, and bring it back down. Okay, that's in. This is the pink red. Where's the pink red? It's miles over here. And because this face has not been done yet, I can happily just turn that up to the yellow face for now. And then bring it around to that sort of position. It's got to go on that position there. So I'll move that to the top, turn it on, and place it. Okay, now I've got to do this one. So now I've got to align this center again. So first of all, turn that around. So the pink is pointing there, that's good. This is an aqua red, in fact, that I'm looking for. Aqua red seems to be there. Now, this orange face still isn't aligned. So I can just turn that up there to the yellow face and bring it around sort of closer. And it's got to go in that position. So to do that, I will turn that up so the aqua matches the aqua when I turn it on. That's better. And then undo and undo. And I do need to do that fourth undo because the pink face was already oriented. Aqua grey, I'm getting near to the end of these ones. Aqua grey is the next one. That's over here. Again, this one's still not oriented. This is going to come up with the grey on the top. So I can turn it up to the top, place the piece, return it to its position. Okay, now this one, well, the green needs to be oriented. This is the fourth face to be oriented. So green, grey, where is that sitting? Oh, here. And this will be the last one that I do, in fact. So I'll just take that up to the yellow face with an edge piece series. There we go, that's up to the top now. Green grey goes here. And the grey is going to be on the top, so I'll turn that position to the top. Turn it on and return it. That's good. Green purple is next, which is over here. I've managed to put that into that same position. So once again, we'll bring that to the top. And yes, again, that purple is going to come up to the top so that it can receive this purple. Okay, home stretch here. Now finally it's time to align this orange face. So I turn that around. That's the last of these to be aligned. Orange purple is the first one, which is sitting here. So that will bring the purple up to the top. So what that tells me is I'll probably do something like this. Okay, that's placed that, and I better just complete the move to keep that aligned. How many have I got? Just 2 to go here. And so I've got orange, light blue, which is sitting here. So I can just involve those 3 pieces to get that one done. And the final one, the gold blue, that's up here. And that should do this. There we go. So that technique is not only placing those 10 middle pieces, which were the 3rd type of edge, but also aligning and orienting these faces at the same time. Now the edges are nearly done. What we want to do now is just do 4 of these ones, any 4. So there's one that's already done. So we're now clearly looking for the single color edge. Let's find anything that's on the top. There's a pink on the top here. So does that just rotate like that? It's hard to tell there. I don't think it does. I think I've got to move its position up to the yellow face. Turn it onto its position. And then undo, undo. In fact, I don't need to undo the yellow, so that's fine. Any others up the top? I've got the aqua. I've also got the gold. So I'll definitely turn this yellow face around, if it'll let me. There we go. Okay, again, I think that's going to be, oh no, that's a down, down, up, up, so I can happily do that. Should only be 1 to go. Might as well put the gold in, which belongs over here. I think that's just going to be, no, it's not a down, down. My vision is completely off today. Okay, so 4 are in. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. This 5th one I'll now use to help me place the yellows. And what I want to do is place the 3 at the back first. Now this has no orientation, so I don't know if that's a correct thing for the yellow face or if it should be like that. I've got no idea. So I'll find out soon enough, because if I land with a swap of pieces, then I'll know that it was out by 1 turn. But for now, let's place this one here. This yellow aqua is what I want to place at the back, and that's that piece there. So clearly that needs to be flipped over. So what I'll do initially is just have this near my helper piece here and flip it over to there. So it's just down, down, up, up, so that that flips over and the yellow is on the top. Now I can happily turn this around into the back position to start with. Now it happens to also have placed that, which is fantastic, no problem. This one is the yellow green, which is that piece there. So once again, I can turn this around to here and I'll flip this over to that position with a down, down, up, up. And when I return that, those back 1, 2, 3 pieces are done. Now's the moment of truth. Now's where I find out, do I have a swap or a 3 cycle? The yellow gold goes here, the orange goes here, and the yellow orange goes here. So I happen to have a 3 cycle, which is fine. If you did get a swap, you would simply have to turn this 1 turn and resolve these back 3 pieces. But for me, I don't have a swap. So what I will do is just finish off this 3 cycle here. That's the one that looks like it's got a flip, so I've got to turn its position and turn it onto its position. Turn the position around. What? No, that's not going to work either. Let me think. I'll actually think about this before I do it. Maybe it's this one that's going to flip. Ah, it's the orange one. Okay. So in that case, this has got to go there. The position's got to turn up. the orange has got to go onto its position and then undo, undo. Those colours got me there. And there we go. All the edges are now done. And it looks a bit dodgy there, but remember that's a corner. So that completes the edges, and it also ensures that the edges are, or all the centres are oriented at the same time, so they sit properly. Now the last thing to do on this puzzle is simply to place the corners. And just do them one by one, and all we're doing is looking for a corner that will roll into a position nearby. So I'm going to search for any corner that will do that. See if I can find one. That one's in position but twisted, so it's no good for me. Purple, white, possibly. Here we go. That's a good one. So this purple, white, if I roll that, you can see that goes into its position exactly as I want it to do. So that's what I'm looking for, either down a side, or across the back. Any of that will work. In this case, I'm going to take down the side, and I'm going to use a normal corner piece series for this. It's just on a 5-sided puzzle instead of a 4-sided. So my upper faces there, instead of my left and right faces being symmetrical, that's my left, that's my right. That's how this is going to work. This will roll to here, this one will roll across the back, and this one will go across the diagonal there. So for me, all I care about is that this is going to roll down into its position. And so to carry this out, it is an upper turn, and then a right turn, and then an up prime, and then a left prime. Then we continue, up, right prime, up prime, left. Now that is nothing more than a 3-1 commutator. It's just the standard corner piece series. You can see that it's placed that purple white corner. That's all I'm going to do for all of these. And I'll find one now that is the mirror of that. And so I'm looking for something that sort of rolls perhaps down this way or similar. Let's have a look. Often you'll have to do a setup move or two. This is going to be the same thing, so I'll just leave that for now. I might see if I can do one which involves a setup move. Yeah, so I've just an example of a setup move. I've just done one turn there. This will now roll into position like that. But I'm specifically looking for the mirror sequence, so I'm going to keep looking. That goes there, that's no good. Green yellow's miles away, I think. Although it might be interesting to see. Yeah, even that, a couple of moves, that's going to roll down into that position. The blue gold, yeah, that's the other side of the puzzle, so I'll ignore that. White red. It's got to go to there. What happens if I move this around to here? Got it, finally. Okay, so you can see now this white red will now roll down that right hand side into its position. So this time it's these 3 pieces which are involved. And this time, being the mirror corner piece series, I'm going to do an upper prime turn for my first turn of the upper face. So it's the exact mirror of what I did just before. And there it is, correctly into position. I can undo this setup move like so. And that's really all that's happening until you get down to the last 2 or 3. It's the same sort of thing, it just might be a bit of an extra setup. But what I would tend to do is try and get all the corners on one section of the puzzle done so that there's not too much to sort of move around. I don't want to be trying to move or set up a corner from here that belongs over here. So I'm going to continue doing that, and I'll cut back in when I'm down to the last couple. Well, I'm down here to the last 3 corners of this Gigatwist, and as always, I'm looking for something that will roll. That one clearly is not going to roll across anywhere. This one, it rolls down into position, but it's not oriented correctly, so that's no good. This one here, the yellow and the aqua, that rolls perfectly into position. So this tells me that I'm either looking for something where 1, 2, 3 pieces like that, or if I needed to, I would turn it around and have them in that formation. Either way, this one will roll across the back or it will roll down the side into position. So the thing to do is, it's tricky to kind of go, well, how do I get this correctly oriented over to there? What I'm going to try and do instead is see if I can get this yellow-green into a position where it will roll across the back onto that yellow-green position. So the easiest way for me to see to do that is to move it to here and here. So I would initially do that, and it's only 2 setup moves, pretty straightforward. And what I can see is that that now has positioned itself perfectly. And because of that, if that's going to roll across correctly to there, and this one is going to roll correctly to there, this third piece must orient itself correctly over to here. It's got no choice. So that's fantastic. That's the setup I need. I now know that that is the formation of the 3 pieces, and I'm going to carry out an anti-clockwise corner piece series to finish this off. Just trying to get, oh, there we go. Just trying to get things aligned as I need to. You think you've got something aligned and it's not quite there. Oh, hang on. That might be better. That is better. How many moves is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the final 2, you can see this yellow aqua has perfectly come down to there. That yellow green is there. So when we undo these setup moves, the final piece will also be in position. So there's no way we can end with any kind of weird corner twists or anything like that. These pieces, because they have the orientation that they do, that's the sort of thing we're going to get every time. So that's the way that I would do it. I will show one other thing, just in case you get to this point. You may get to a point where you have 2 twisted corners somewhere. So I'm just going to set up for that now. Okay, so here we've got what I guess is a fairly common situation where I've got this corner twisted in position and this one twisted in position as well. And you'll notice that this one needs to be twisted anti-clockwise. This one needs to be twisted clockwise. Now, if you had 3 that were twisted, they'd all be twisting in the same direction. So here we've got 2 of them. So what I need to do is just somehow get them on the same face, whether that's this face or this face, or in fact the yellow face. And for this one, I reckon I'll use this yellow face because it's easier to sort of see the alignment of things here because the face is flat. So I'm just going to turn that one up so it's on the yellow face. This one's on the yellow face too. Now, which direction did this need to go? This one needed to go anti-clockwise. So I'm going to twist this one first and then bring this into position and twist this one by undoing. So to twist this one anti-clockwise, I just want to do 2 up, up, down, downs in this position. So there's up, up, down, down. There's the first of them. And there's the second, and you can see, even looking at that, that looks really good. So now that that's been twisted, bring this one around using the upper face there. And we want to twist in the opposite direction. So this time an up, up, down, down using the right turn first. Now that that's done, you can see that looks really good. we turn that upper face back to where it was and return that piece, and that has dealt with those two corners. So that's how we deal with the Gigatwist. It does look pretty cool, solved and scrambled, and it is certainly solved now. As always, thanks for watching.